All right, let's just get right into it. Budgeting. We all know the basic math, right? Spend less than you make. It's literally grade school arithmetic. So what is the deal? Why do so many smart, successful people who can manage a team or, raise kids, just completely fall apart when they try to stick to a budget? Here's the thing. The reason this incredibly simple math feels so impossibly hard has nothing to do with you being lazy or undisciplined. It's not some character flaw. You're not bad with money. The real problem is a deep, fundamental conflict that's happening inside your own head. And this visual really gets to the heart of it. Your brain is not a calculator, okay? It's a survival machine, fine-tuned over millions of years to keep you alive. The struggle you're feeling is what you could call a neurological mismatch. Your ancient survival-focused hardware is in a constant battle with your modern financial goals. So, to really wrap our heads around this mismatch, we have to start with what happens inside your brain when you feel that all too familiar financial stress. This is where that logic gap really starts to crack wide open. So, you see this term amygdala. What on earth does an ancient part of your brain have to do with your banking app? Well, pretty much everything. When you log in and see a balance that's lower than you hoped, your brain doesn't just see a number, it sees a threat. It perceives that low balance as a danger to your survival, and it triggers this ancient, full-on panic alarm. And this kicks off a really nasty self-sabotaging loop. So the stress from that low balance makes you crave immediate comfort. And what's an easy way to get that? Impulse spending. But of course, that spending makes the balance even lower, which triggers even more stress. See the problem? You're trying to fix an emotional feeling with a financial transaction, and it just digs the hole deeper. And here's the real kicker. This stress creates something psychologists call a scarcity mindset. And what's wild is that research shows this state of mind literally lowers your cognitive function. It shuts down the part of your brain in charge of long-term planning and good decisions. So you actually become worse at managing money, precisely when you need to be the best at it. But the scarcity thing, that's only half the story. It's not just about what happens when you're stressed out. There are these deeper, kind of hidden psychological forces that are actively working against your best intentions, even when you feel totally calm. This is where we need to talk about your inner rebel. We all have these things called money scripts. They're these powerful, unconscious rules about money that got baked into our brains when we were little kids. For instance, say you grew up where money was always a source of fighting and anxiety. You might develop a money avoidance script. And now, as an adult, you might find yourself subconsciously getting rid of money, spending it as soon as it comes in, just to avoid that feeling of anxiety. You think you're budgeting against your paycheck, but you're really fighting a ghost from your past. And then there's this thing called present bias. From an evolutionary standpoint, it made total sense to grab the reward that was right in front of you, because tomorrow was never a guarantee. Well, your brain is still running that old software, and that is why a $5 latte today feels so much more real and so much more valuable than $1,000 for retirement 30 years from now. To your brain, future you is a complete stranger. And frankly, it doesn't feel like doing that stranger any big favors. Ever had a budget that just spectacularly blew up after the first month? Well, this might be why. Psychological reactance. When you create a super restrictive budget, your brain sees it as a major threat to your freedom. It feels like someone's just telling you no, no, no all day long. And just like a teenager, your brain's natural reaction is to rebel. And that rebellion usually looks like a massive spending spree. And finally, we have the ultimate budget killer, decision fatigue. Think of your willpower like the battery on your phone. Every single time you have to say no to a purchase, you use up a little bit of that juice. By the end of a long day, after making hundreds of other decisions, that battery is completely drained. And that's when we do the most damage, because we literally don't have the mental energy left to say no one more time. Okay, I know, that was a lot of bad news. It kind of sounds like we're hardwired to fail at this, right? Well, not exactly. The great news is, once you understand the hardware you're working with, you can design a system that works with it instead of fighting against it. This is all about budgeting with your brain. So let's look at 3 incredibly powerful, science-backed hacks that can totally rewire your approach to money. And the key here is they aren't about more discipline or trying harder. They're about being smarter with the brain you've already got. First up, shift your identity. I know that sounds kind of big, but just listen to the difference. Instead of saying, I'm trying to save money, you start telling yourself, I am a person who values financial freedom. Your brain is designed to act in line with who it thinks you are. When you change that story, the right choices just start to feel automatic. They don't drain your willpower anymore. Second, This is so simple, but it is genius. It's the 24-hour cooling off period. For any non-essential purchase over, say, $50, you just enforce a strict rule. You have to wait 24 hours. This gives your impulsive, emotional brain time to quiet down, and it lets your rational, long-term thinking brain catch up and actually weigh the decision. And third, you have got to make it visual. Get this. Your brain processes an image 60,000 times faster than it processes text. That's just insane, right? A number in a spreadsheet is totally abstract, but a picture of the house you're saving for or that vacation you want to take, that's real. Put a picture of your goal as your phone's lock screen. Tape it to your debit card. It's a constant, powerful reminder of what you're actually saying yes to. So really, the whole point here is to reframe the entire idea of what a budget is. We have to stop thinking about it as this chore, this thing based on restriction. It's not. It's an active, empowering choice you're making for your own freedom. You're not depriving yourself now. You're paying it forward for the future life you actually want. At the end of the day, when you understand the hidden psychology that's really pulling the strings, the math part, it just starts to fall into place. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. When you think about your own patterns with money, what's the one money script you're trying to rewrite?